Welcome everyone, this is E2KGn30. This is your weekly gaming news roundup from the E2KG network, coming to you from the GWW. There's a lot of acronyms in there, but this is our weekly Thursday news roundup show coming at you in 30 minutes or less. So, with me tonight is Swiss. How are you, sir?
I'm doing very well.
Did you and your family have a good Thanksgiving holiday?
It was acceptable.
Okay. So was it more of a Thanksgiving holiday or was it a Black Friday shopping holiday?
Oh no, it was just Thanksgiving. It was.
Okay.
It was serene. That's a better term. It was serene, which is a good thing.
That is a good thing. That's especially, when family holidays are involved. The fact that it's serene is not a bad thing at all.
There was no emotional no emotional highs. It wasn't something that I think we'll be discussing 25 years from now.
Okay.
But there was no crises either. So.
And did you get enough to eat?
I did. I always do.
Oh, good. Well,
yeah.
I did not have a whole lot to eat, so I'm going to start off tonight, this podcast, by eating some cereal, because I'm hungry, and so you're going to have to excuse me as I eat. But did you hear your first news story I want to talk about, though, is cereal related, right? That there is a new Nintendo cereal, and that every box is an amiibo. So, which is pretty interesting and exciting, right? I remember having the Nintendo Power Pack cereal, right, with Zelda on one side and Super Mario on the other. But this new cereal, Swiss, did you know that it is chock full of vitamins, like Dr. Mario?
Is it part of your balanced breakfast?
Oh, but it also has lots of minerals, according to my Animal Crossing friend as well. So I'm coming with the first news story tonight of Nintendo cereal and my props along with it. So, I'm not Osiris Prime with my Halloween gaming mask, but I will come with my cereal props.
For those of our listeners that aren't on YouTube, DB literally has a bowl of amiibos.
Yes. So I have a bowl of amiibos, which I'm snacking on, and my vitamin chocked full amiibos are my Dr. Mario, and my minerals amiibo is Rossetti from Animal Crossing. So
you put a lot of thought into this.
Hold on, I'm doing some Foley work here as I scrape the bottom of the bowl, getting out the Toad amiibos and the Waluigi amiibos at the bottom here that nobody really wants. So there we go, people. This is our first news of the slow week after Thanksgiving.
It's not fair to Toad. It's not fair.
Well, there are plenty of Toads on the shelf, whether it's, the Mario Party. Actually, there's plenty of Mario Party amiibo on the shelf, right, versus Smash Brothers amiibo. But that is, we have more news to talk about that is not just some chuckle and laughter in terms of Nintendo cereal. But it tells you how slow of a news week if gaming sites, including Gamasutra, are covering Nintendo cereal. So we're gonna scrape the bottom of our news bowl this week, see what else that we have for you guys.
That's an interesting marketing gimmick. We'll make the cereal box an amiibo, and kids will buy it.
I think
it's smart.
I think it's a great marketing ploy. I would have probably bought it just for the sake of trying it for once, But the fact that it's an amiibo that would give you coins or an outfit in Mario Odyssey, right? This is tied in with Mario Odyssey, so it's going to give you coins. It's not necessarily going to give you moons, but again, it has some functionality within what will probably be one of the hotter kids video games of this year.
Yeah, like marketing, like Streams Crossing, man. And then you can sell the box on eBay afterwards.
Oh, there you go. You probably. I bet you probably could have sold the box on eBay even if it wasn't an amiibo, because Nintendo fans are Nintendo fans. So
we do have another story though that's kind of talking about marketing, and we got Amazon crossing with Bungie to provide a skill for the Echo. So Bungie, I got this story from. Well, I saw it on a lot of sites. The link that we have is from Gamasutra. Bungie has brought a handful of voice commands to Destiny 2 that will let players manage their inventory or message members of their in-game clans without pressing a button. So you can basically use your Alexa for voice commands, and it works for your PS4, your Xbox One, and the PC. And I think that's pretty cool. You know,
So I think it's pretty cool too, and I will be honest and say that I came home after work today and tried to set this up. So what you need to do is go to Bungie.net and log into Bungie.net, and then on the same browser that you're logged in on, then go into Amazon and the Alexa app and to enable skills. So once you have done that, you can talk to Alexa and say, Alexa, ask Ghost about my clan.
Sorry, I'm still having trouble understanding.
Oh, see, and it's not quite all there yet because I haven't linked everything. But I have had Ghost come up and tell me that I'm not registered in a clan because I have not been the last. It responds to the last character that you played, and so I was last playing Destiny 2 on the PC. Well, I'm not in a clan on the PC, but I am on PlayStation 4. But what it does, it has some really neat features, and that it will allow you to change your loadouts, that you can save a loadout and name it, that it will allow you to equip your most powerful weapons. You can ask about clan features. You can find out about your milestones in terms of in-game achievements or what weekly achievements you have or have not completed. The clan feature is actually kind of neat because you can call out for backup or call out for help, and it'll send a message out to your clan or who's ever online to join you. And it also, at least according to on the Activision website about this, it'll also tell you about lore. So you can ask about the speaker. You can ask about darkness. I am very curious to see how much of the Grimoire cards or history and backstory lore that they've built into this app, because this is the first time outside of YouTube, third-party channels that we're getting some voice-acted lore within this Ghost app. And it actually is. It is Nolan. It sure sounds like Nolan North. I shouldn't say it is for sure because I have not seen a story that confirms it, but it sounds exactly like Nolan North doing Ghost in Destiny 2.
it's just, I made it almost feels like it's not really augmented reality, but it's cool that there's this other avenue to draw you into the experience. And I'm surprised, honestly. Like, I saw the story and then I thought, why isn't this happening in other games? More. Why isn't this more ubiquitous? This type of application to go along with the normal game, and maybe it just happens to be because Amazon and Microsoft are two tech giants, and maybe they don't want to always play nicely together. Bungie's kind of a third party and all, but it seems like this takes off. We could see more of it. And if you don't want, we also should add, if you don't want your cylindrical Alexa, if that degrades the experience for you, you can pay $90 on Amazon and buy a ghost-shaped speaker.
Yes, that $90 Ghost speaker is up for pre-order right now. So, I do have to pull us back from the kind of cheeky Destiny 2 news to talk about some, this is fine that this rolls out, but it sure feels like padding in a week that Bungie and Destiny 2 have been hit again and again for their communication or lack thereof, right? They're rolling out a communication app with Alexa, and they're getting hammered in social media, on Reddit, in forums over the lack of transparency of the XP throttling. So that was a big news story that broke. It's been rumbling about for a month or so, but finally had some acknowledgement and official statements right around Thanksgiving, right after Thanksgiving, where they acknowledged that they were throttling the XP that players earned doing repeat events. So if you were doing events that could be repeated quickly, they were throttling that more so. So, spamming and running public events very quickly back to back, running from one public event to the other, which I am very guilty of doing. That if your character was over level 20, you saw decreases in the XP earned. But if you were doing other other events like some of the weekly events, nightfalls, raids, things like that, that XP was throttled, but not throttled as much. And so none of this was disclosed to the players, and this is what really kind of blew up in Bungie's face, to the point where this week, when they had planned to do a live stream of the final live stream for the Curse of Osiris, right? The DLC that launches next week, they canceled the
Yeah,
planned
just
live streamed.
that's a pretty big deal. I mean, they're just like they're circling the wagons, so to speak. I mean, it's
Yeah, they did. They circled the wagons. You know, they took it out of Deej's hands in terms of the community manager and some of the sandbox guys that were going to do the live event, but they did come out with a blog post the next day. So yesterday, they came out with both a blog post and you know, a little bit of a video here. This was Luke Smith and some other developers. I don't escapes me here. I have to look them back up. But they came out to talk about, you know, they released a statement that acknowledged and apologized to a certain degree. You know, talked about needing to be more open. You know, we've been reading Barrett, yeah, Christopher Barrett, game director. So Luke Smith is his design director, and Christopher Barrett is the game director. They said, our team has been reading feedback and working on updates to improve the game. We've also been reading some tough criticism about our lack of communication, and we agree we need to be more open. So yesterday they came out and talked about some of the game content that's coming, not necessarily with the Curse of Osiris, but game updates that they're providing. So they've, you know, there's been within the Destiny community, there's been criticism about the lack of endgame content. So they've been adding, they're coming out, or they're adding some things here that they hope will try to address that. There's going to be some masterworks, some legendary guns that will have masterworks, which means that they'll have a couple different mods to them. They'll be able to track display and, you know, kills, which necessarily isn't huge, but they also, those masterwork weapons can generate orbs upon kills, which makes a difference in terms of replenishing your super ability. That they'll have randomly selected stat bonuses from a small pool, and they're re-rollable. So for a lot of the hardest of the hardcore Destiny players, the fact that all the weapons in Destiny 2 have a fixed loadout, a fixed roll in terms of, you know, damage and impact and range and things like that, now having something that may be re-rollable gives them a chance to hunt after something else. They've also come up with, they're going to come up with some other armor ornaments. So these are not going to be consumable like the shaders. These will be, they will work more so, they will be, you know, there'll be ornaments on your armor. Again, there'll be kind of shaders or designs, as the ornaments often make them look in a little bit of a different fashion. But these will function more like the shaders from Destiny 1, right, where they are used across account. They can be used on a variety of pieces there. They've also talked about that coming up in 2018, they're going to be a ranked play for the Crucible, so the PvP. Also talked about prestige activities, better rewards in the prestige activities. And so they talked about a number of things. Private matches coming up in 2018. So they gave us the first kind of roadmap that they've given us, and this is still a rough roadmap, but it's the first roadmap that they've given us since the launch week back on the council. Launch week back on the council ran smooth. They came in with a roadmap that gave people the first kind of month of content, and then have really been dark. And so in a week where they've gotten hammered for not communicating, they have fortunately come out and communicated and given players some idea of what they have planned. Not a whole lot of hard and fast dates, but definitely more content than they have alluded to or even hinted at up until this point.
Now, DB, going back to the original XP story just a little bit, do you feel that the greater sin was the throttling of the XP for these events, or the fact that they didn't disclose that they were doing it?
I have, and I will say this without any hesitation, the problem with this is that they hit it. That if they would have come out from the very beginning and said what they said in the blog post was what I kind of recapped, that quickly repeatable events would reap reduced XP versus events versus experiences and in-game activities that are more that take longer to complete would provide uh, consistent or continual XP earnings, right?
Which
The fact
is
that
completely
they
understandable from a design perspective.
exactly, it makes complete sense, right? To say that you couldn't just come in and grind out, do what I did and run from public event to public event during my time on in the European dead zone. That and if I did that, that I would see reduced XP gains. That if I knew that, or if I may still have done it, but at least I would understand, oh yeah, that makes sense, right? They want me to do these other events and so or the other activities, and so they've
There's more of a
structured the
reward for
game.
that. Yeah.
Exactly, right? I don't think anybody in the community would have had an issue with this if that would have been built into it right away, right? I mean, if it could have been an easy pop-up after they hit that cap. There's plenty of other things that pop up within the UI. It could have been something that was made available on blog posts or in community forums. It's the lack of transparency. It's creating a structure like this but not informing the players that this structure exists. And because of the way that Destiny does XP, where you see a bar move but you don't see what numbers were attached to that. You only see the growth in the bar. Where in Borderlands or in Diablo or other places, you're going to see you've got 1,800 out of 2,300 that you need to get to the next XP level, right?
Okay, I didn't realize that. Well, I haven't played Destiny, so yeah, I can see how that would be construed as a little bit underhanded in a way.
Yeah, I think it
Especially
definitely
combined with the fact that there's no transparency.
Yes. Yes, I think the lack of transparency here to me is the larger problem. I think one of the other pieces that I didn't mention for some of the updates that are coming is they are also going to be doing faded engrams. So these will be exotic armor weapons engrams that will decode into things that you do not already own. The decrypt exotic engrams that you do not already have in your collection. So again, because most of the engrams are a random roll, this is one where it's starting to give you something, a guarantee of you get something that you do not already own. And so for those people hunting and chasing after complete sets, it provides a way to do that. So I'm going to go back to your question about the greater sin, right? Is creating it or not telling about it. I gave my answer. What's your answer, Swiss?
I would agree with you because, as I said, I understand it from a design perspective. They don't want, they want to encourage players to experience the game in a certain way, and not just grind out some low-hanging fruit to maximize a character. Like it's understandable. So if they had come out and said, these will have diminished returns at a certain point, you can harvest what you can, but know that the land isn't gonna be as full of nutrients later on. It's perfectly acceptable in my opinion. From a design perspective. But when you have them not saying it, and then this little interesting note with the XP bar not having numerals on it, and on the heels of an environment that is somewhat hostile to big game publishers at the moment, it's just, it was kind of a recipe for a PR, little bit of kerfluffle. So.
Yeah. Yes, I agree. And so I also agree that we've hit on all of our E2KG our tropes this week so far already, right? We've talked about Nintendo, we've talked about Destiny, we've hit on our our common themes. So, but we've got some more news stories to kick off here in the last half of the show. So, what do you have here, Swiss? You've got another news story about a game that is it does hit our Nintendo Switch here, but it also covers some other stuff.
Yep. Valkyria Chronicles 4 has been announced for the Nintendo Switch, the PS4, and the Xbox One. I played it on the PS3, and it is one of my great gaming regrets that I traded it in at some point. I don't remember for what, which makes it even worse. But I really enjoyed it. This is the strategy RPG that also has some shooter elements, or third-person shooter elements as you move around the map, and a really unique and charming art style. It's almost colored pencil. I enjoyed it greatly. I believe you played. The second one was on the PSP, and then the third one was on the PSP, but not released in the West, I don't think.
That is correct. Yep, the Valkyria Chronicles 2 was on PSP. It was a little more anime-y in terms of set around a school, a military school, but still had similar combat. And Valkyria Chronicles 3 was also for the PSP, but did not release in the West. So it's great that this is coming out. It seems like a perfect fit for the Switch in terms of the portability. It certainly fits within PlayStation 4 as well. And Swiss, since it is one of your gaming regrets, did you know that there is Valkyria Chronicles Remastered on the PS4, which was just on sale over Black Friday?
It's on my Amazon wish list. I haven't picked it up yet, but yes, I was aware of it. But now I'll probably just not worry about it and wait for 4 to come out. Apparently, it's going to be kind of a soft reboot where it takes place during the same conflict as Valkyria Chronicles 1, but you have a whole new set of characters. After Valkyria Revolution, which I was starting to get myself hyped for, and then it came out, they just revamped the formula into an action RPG, and it was not well received by fans or critics.
It was not well received at all. Yeah, Valkyria Chronicles, the original one, was a critic darling, right? I mean, it had an art style that was very engaging, at the time in the late 2000s, mid to late 2000s. This was early in the PlayStation 3's life cycle too, and it had kind of the strategy combat, almost XCOM like gameplay.
I can understand that it's not for everyone. I mean, strategy RPGs like that's a little bit more of a niche audience, but it's an excellent game, and I'm hoping that 4 will live up to the past entries in the series.
Yeah, I hope so too, right? And on the Switch, the fact that players and owners of Switch may have played some Mario plus Rabbids, which kind of has a very similar kind of tactical RPG battle there, that if they've enjoyed that, then this game may be right up their alley as well. So we've got another release coming out for the West as well, right? Another JRPG, Shin Megami Tensei 5, is also scheduled to be released for the Switch. It was teased way back at the Switch release, but now it's been confirmed for a Western release as well.
Yeah, Atlas seems to be embracing the Switch. That's good, because they have some. They got a pretty good library, and it's going to be interesting to see how many more games they start pulling over.
Yeah, and you've got some good Switch news for the start of this holiday season as well, don't you, Swiss?
Yeah, this was as is E2KG. You're talking about E2KG tropes. It wouldn't be a show without talking about financial news. So apparently there's an analyst, Adobe's Digital Insights Analytics platform, which claims to measure 80% of online transactions at the largest 100 U.S. web retailers. I got this story from Gamasutra. So according to them, the Switch was the top-selling item, not top-selling video game, electronic, whatever, the top-selling item across all surveyed online retailers on Thanksgiving, on Black Friday, and on Cyber Monday. On Saturday, it was number 4. So basically, throughout the whole weekend, it was the best-selling item, and it wasn't like a Black Friday doorbuster deal. It was just $300, normal Switch.
It had
So
no sales, no pack-ins, no bundles. It was sheer demand. Wow, that's amazing.
yeah, I'm happy. I'm happy for Nintendo. Glad they're relevant. I'm glad, honestly, like, I didn't buy it on Black Friday, but I did buy a second Switch for my brother and my nephews. So
Aha.
I went with my mom and my sister, and we kind of all pooled our resources there. So, I'm glad that more people are getting their hands on it.
Yeah, it was definitely available. I was in stores. I was in a Best Buy on the Wednesday before Thanksgiving, and they had piles of them stacked up in the aisles, ready to
I
go.
was surprised I've been seeing them in stock, and it's just been a few months ago that it was Prime was still Switchless, and they promised that they'd get them in stock, and they did, and people are getting them. So
yeah. So we've got our last two news stories here are a little more indie after spending most of our time with big publishers, both hardware and software. So the first one here is that Tencent, who is the publisher or the of a Player Unknown's Battleground. So they're not the publisher, right? That there is PUBG has been the indie darling over the course of most of this year. PUBG has even spun off from its original developer and publisher to really just focus on that. But Tencent, who is a game publisher, international game publisher, has picked up the rights to a mobile version of PlayerUnknown's Battleground that it's in development. They're working with Bluehole, on the port, and it will be of the port of the PC version, which will be launched in Chinese markets. So because of the mobile phone market in China, that this is a way for PUBG to kind of continue its steamrolling dominance over gameplay during this year. PUBG has sold over 20 million copies so far, and this is even before they've released on a console. So now they're going to be releasing on mobile devices in some type of scaled down but still battle royale type of method in the coming year in Japan or in China. So that will again provide more revenue and more exposure to this game that has been a phenomenon for much of this year.
Because it's this particular port is going to be in China, they did say that they would ensure that PUBG reflects, quote, socialist core values, Chinese traditional culture, and moral rules. So anytime a publisher or somebody wants to be able to make inroads in the Chinese market, there's some ground rules before they're allowed access. So
it'd be interesting to see what that actually means in a game where you
there's not really
you're killing each other
story.
constantly.
Right. It's not like some sort of what was the game where the North Koreans invaded the United States?
Homefront. Yes.
Right. Yeah. It's not like some sort of Chinese version of Homefront where they're going to have to So I don't really know what that is in PUBG's case, but
yeah. Well, I think maybe it means some of the skins and costumes may be tailored to fit within that market. So we will see. But we've got another game that has not even actually come out yet, but has raked in tons of cash here, and now has a new model for continuing to gain cash from its audience. So
this is one of my favorite topics on E2KG. Is anytime we get to talk about Star Citizen, and usually it's related to something like this where they had a new method of raising funds. So in this case, I got this from Gamasutra, so it's in pounds. But the headline is Star Citizen is selling virtual plots of land for up to $96 a pop. So you can get, for a small fee, you can get a virtual plot of land. So they call them land claim licenses. It's a virtual certificate that entitles you to claim a parcel of land in the game, although the mechanic is not yet live. So There are two types of claim licenses available. The standard costs $48, and on some of the U.S. stores, that's been or 48 pounds, excuse me. On the U.S. stores, it's been $50. This gets you a single 4 kilometer by 4 kilometer parcel of land. Second is the estate version, which gets you a single 8 kilometer by 8 kilometer parcel of land. So currently, you can only buy these licenses with real world money. And they note that this is the disclaimer on their website. Please note, these claim licenses are being made available for pledging to help fund Star Citizen's development. The ability to obtain these claim licenses will ultimately be available for in-game credits and/or otherwise earnable through playing the game. Pledging for these claim licenses now allows us to include deeper features in the Star Citizen game and is not required for starting the game. So, I will just note, I have an article from the New York Times here from May 10th. Video game raised $148 million from fans. Okay, so back in May, it was at about almost $150 million. And now they're kind of trying to get $50 and $100 a pop.
And when did this start? Is this 2014 that Star Citizen started? It's Kickstarter?
Been a long one. Yeah. What's the date? I don't have the date in front. Since 2013. Yes.
13. Okay, so even further back, right? I mean, so we're looking 4 years out. There is not. They had talked about a potential playable piece of it, right? That they were going to release a small part of it. At one point in time, they had talked about doing a whole Wing Commander-esque story mode within it, right? That they were going to bring Mark Hamill back. You know, if they had the funding to it, that it was. This is the pipe dream of pipe dreams. You know,
it is the. Scope creep of scope creeps.
Yes, I think that is the biggest piece here, is that this is this game, for all our comments earlier in the night about JRPGs in terms of scope creep and needing an editor. This is a game that certainly could use some publisher to slow things down here.
Yeah, but you know, in the context of the current zeitgeist with EA, we have a company that's charging $50 and $100 for virtual parcels of land. Okay. So I mean,
I'll play devil's advocate and say, at least in those parcels of land, you know what you're getting. You're not spinning a wheel for the chance to pick a certain size of land, right? You are purchasing something that you full well know what you are getting, and there is a digital value attached to that versus the potential value of gaining something. I may not agree with it, and I may think it's kind of crazy, but at least they're up front. You know,
that's a good point.
Got to give them that.
They're up front, but.
Okay. So, any other final thoughts here, Swiss, before I'm going to finish my bowl of a Nintendo cereal and wrap up this podcast? We have hit our 30-minute mark and a little bit over, but that's okay because we had a snack in the beginning, and a bedtime snack on a Thursday night is not a bad thing. So. Nope. So this has been E2KGn30. This is your weekly gaming news roundup. We will be back next Tuesday night for the standard E2KG show. We've got some playlists and topics, and we are heading into December, which means that by mid-December, we're going to have our blowout podcast of all four of us, all four of our hosts on the show at the same time to talk about our year in review and our favorite gaming experiences and games of the year, and just have all that content up and out, and then take a little bit of a break for the holiday season, but we'll be back in early January. So you've got a couple more weeks of us for cheesy and cheeky gaming props and puns and stereotype E2KG network fun. We will be back.
When all four of us are together at once, it's going to be like when the Ghostbusters cross the streams.
Oh, well, I'm already planning to send Iglesias. I'm just going to say his name 6 different ways, but I'm going to send him some Skylanders and not some Amiibos and make sure that he can tell the difference under the Christmas tree this year. So, ladies and gentlemen, we are well past our time, but thank you for sticking with us. And until next week, This is the E2KG network, and we are always hoping that we are enough to keep you going. Have a good night.
Good night, everyone.